So, believe it or not, The Flash returned for an eighth season. Poor guy, you know. So it returned for Armageddon. Yes. Armageddon out of here. Tee-hee, giggle, giggle. Once again, the whole world's in trouble or something. It's always... I mean, look, after the entire multiverse was threatened and nearly destroyed, and kind of sort of was, and then rebooted or whatever the hell they did when the Crisis of Infinite Earth, you'd think they'd want to tone it down for, like, I don't know, a murder mystery or something. What'd they do last season? Oh, Godspeed. Yeah, they went back to Evil Speedster and stuff. Nah, whatever. So, once again, time travel. It's just a time travel show, you know? So apparently they're going to make use of the Armageddon storyline. This is something DC Comics did a while back. Well, a while back, about almost, I guess, damn near 30 years ago now. But the upshot of it was that some superhero was going to go rogue in the future and wipe out all the other superheroes. And this guy from the future had to find out which one become the bad guy and try to prevent that from happening and all that. Well, here we open up in the year 2031, which isn't that far away, but nevertheless, that's the year of the terrible future, where it shows you how bad it is. So there's this guy running, and then there's about 3 or 4 others, so maybe 5 in total, and there's like, I don't know, a trash can on fire, and then the camera pans and there's a building on fire. And that's the terrible apocalypse that must be avoided by the character of Despero, who is played by that character who played Vincent Van Gogh in that Doctor Who episode. Well, here he is, looking like Vincent Van Gogh. And that's about it. They eventually do some yeah, they do some CGI for the character. And I'm not as harsh on bad CGI as others are. As I've stated before, it doesn't bother me that much so long as the story's good and everything. And the Flash has got a lot of bad CGI in it. But I got to tell you, I would have preferred they just kept it like that, or at the very least do some makeup. But I'm guessing they can't really afford to do some rubber makeup and stuff onto this guy. So he turns into a CGI guy. Despero looked very different in his original form. He didn't have like the fin the way it is. It kind of went from either side over his head and stuff. And maybe they should have stuck with that and just made a mask for this guy. But again, I guess that's too expensive. And he wasn't this giant dude. Now in the current DC Comics, well, if it still existed, for the longest time, yeah, he's looked more like the one that has the fin like Savage Dragon on his head, and the third eye and all that stuff. But he's really big and muscular like Hulk and stuff like that. So that's what they did right at the last, and it was obvious they had to keep it short because, it's too expensive to do. There's one good scene, well, there's 2 actually for the action, but you blink and you miss it. The Flash prevents a collision between 2 trains, and it's not too bad. But it's really quick. It's not as good as the Superman show. And then there's the Atom shows up, and he and the Flash team up. And there's one point where the Atom saves the Flash from being hit by a taxi that Despero throws at them and all that. So the idea here is Despero has these powerful mental powers, and so when he's looking human, it's just an illusion. I think that's how they're doing it. And his real appearance is the giant alien guy who's come back in time to kill the Flash before he becomes this horrible supervillain in the future and burns down a building, apparently. Yeah, that's Armageddon. And so for this episode, it's a crossover event. Oh, and those are always terrible. And this is no different. So the Atom is the guest star for this one. So he shows up. He's there for some science convention deal. And apparently Barry made an offer. When you're in town, come stay with us. And so he did. But of course, tee-hee, giggle, giggle. It's right when he and Iris are trying to get it on because they want to start a family. And, oh, damn it, here comes Ray Palmer. Yeah. Brandon Routh's take on Ray Palmer for the purpose of the Legends was one of the better parts of that show. That was, funny for 5 seconds, and that's why and it's not anymore, and that's why no one watches it anymore. And it's kind of sad because you can see the enthusiasm he has. This guy really likes playing superheroes, and but he's kind of wasted. It would be cool if that fan theory of him getting his Kingdom Come series on HBO Max. That would be interesting, but rather dubious that would happen, so it's too bad. But anyway, so he's there. Chester, of course, gets all googly-eyed about him and then gets embarrassed, because then we have to go through the typical plot of the rinse, lather, repeat of "you've got this" or "you're stronger than you know," "you have talents within you that you're unaware of, and you need to apply them." This goes on and on and on. There's also, what's her name, Allegra. I'm sure is a nice girl, but she just can't really act. I guess, she's been there a while, so she's picked up some pointers here and there. But it's just, the character is rather meaningless. But now she works with Iris at her citizen.com, whatever, news site or whatever it is. And she does her podcast now. And it's just burning it up, it's great. And so she puts Allegra in charge as the chief editor of all her. She has no experience whatsoever. And the reporters resent this, and they're moving on. And I'm on their side. Sure, they're being kind of assholes towards her, but, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And then she gives, "You're just worried about objectivism." Yeah, they need to be objective. That's the whole point. And kind of craps on it. You need to talk to the people. And it's like a specific story that involves, the mayor or some city councilman or something. It says, "Hey, we got the interview with the city council." "Yeah, but you should have interviewed the janitor who works in that office." about cleaning products? I mean, and of course they, go get the pulse of the people. What do they feel about what the, city council's doing and so forth and that kind of thing. You don't need little Allegra to tell them that. It's just a stupid scene. But the whole point was, you got this, girl. You got this. You are amazing. You are strong and powerful. And all that stuff. And the same thing goes for Chester, which the problem here is they've done this scene 1,000,000 times. Granted, with other characters, but with these characters too, that's all it is. The episode, I can't. I don't know. I just can't. No, I believe in you. You got this. And of course, they come through even when they really don't. And they just say, "I knew you had it." Next week's episode, same thing. I'm going to constantly need validation and whatnot, which just tells you these people have severe mental disorders and psychosis going on here. It's a wonder the universe was saved at all. Yeah. So anyway, it's more that than the maybe 2 minutes of superheroic stuff. Oh, geez, how could I forget? The Royal Flush Gang showed up, which is the absolute worst depiction of the Royal Flush Gang. If you know the comics, they're a constant adversary for the Justice League. It'd be best to look for them in the animated series of the Justice League and stuff like that. But anyway, and the show tends to reference the Flash says he dealt with them before or missed out on dealing with them because he was in a coma at the time or something. And for some reason, I just don't recall the Royal Flush Gang being there. But considering how they're depicted here, it's no wonder I must have completely forgot if it happened at all. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Not going to bother looking for it either. So the only thing is that the Flash confronts Despero and allows him to read his mind to see that he's an honest man. And he says, "It's unlikely that I'm going to be this criminal." And so Despero says, "Well, I'll give you a chance. You've got 7 days to prove to me you're not," or whatever, and all of that. But at the same time, one of the Royal Flush Gang also has mental powers, and she was trying to predict what the Flash's plan would be against them. But the Flash has super speed brain, so he switched to another plan when they attacked, and so that's how he was able to outfox her. So it shows that the Flash could be fooling Despero. I doubt it. Did they think that through? Maybe. But as they go and there's guest stars, will they do it to where one of the CW superheroes who either has their own show or once did will ultimately become the villain? Gee, I wonder who it could be. It can only be the Flash. I mean, you wouldn't be allowed. They're not going to make it Batwoman, are they? So that's basically the plot. Gee, who's going to turn into a nasty villain in the distant future of 2031 to apparently set fire to the building that scares 5 people in the street? So anyway, there you go. The Flash. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.